afternoon. Mariam, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. How's everything going?
Oh, hi, Raphael. Thank you for having me. Everything is going well, and good afternoon to you too.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. For everyone watching, we have Mariam Wangeshi, who is from Kenya, representing Kenya. And the idea of this space is to create a space to invite international experts in different markets around the world to talk about the cultural and communication aspects of doing business, of working on projects in their own country. So we really appreciate your presence here. And I have 7 questions I've been asking all the interviewees, and we will start now. So, Mariam, please tell us a little bit more about you and what do you do, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Raphael. So I'm Maria Mwangeshi. I am a trained architect by profession, and currently I work to promote or to ensure young people have control of their urban futures and how our cities are developing, because cities are our homes, especially with the rapid urbanization happening recently. So I work as a coordinator for Urban Nairobi Citizens Hub, and Urban is an Africa-led global organization that aims to promote sustainable and healthy cities. And we do this through three things: citizen science, physical activity, and youth engagement. Yes, so citizen science is essentially giving the power to the general public to be a part of, the scientific aspects of advocacy. So, advocacy promotes evidence such that if you want to make a change, people listen to you when you have the facts and the figures. We don't only focus on the science, we also allow people and give people a platform to speak up on their realities, as well as bringing on board young people to have a chance to shape policies that around urban development. So we do all this to promote healthy cities. Yes.
No, that's fantastic and super important work. So congratulations. No, and you really bring this international mindset working on this global project. So it's great to have someone like you participating. So thank you, congratulations, and good luck with the project as well. Moving to the second question, what are some of the things you recommend people to do or say when they first meet or speak with a person whom they might be interested in doing a project or a business opportunity together in Kenya? What would you say for them not to do or say in their first encounter, right?
Okay. So when you're coming to Kenya, like any country or majorly any African country, maybe one thing I would say is Kenyans are very friendly. We love foreigners. And I think I was in Ethiopia last week, speaking with Kalkidan, and she told me Ethiopians are friendly as well. But in Kenya, we are also that welcoming to foreigners. So first, be comfortable. No one is judging. People are open to speak with you. Another thing would be Kenyans are very entrepreneurial people and really adaptable people. So as much as, when we are trying to discuss projects, someone will be eager to maybe speak about what they do and their profession. Yeah. So Kenyans are very entrepreneurial people. And when you're approaching a Kenyan, really, it's just like approaching anyone when trying to explore business. It's not about, your expertise as much as first. At first, it can just be, how well have we had a conversation about the current interesting dynamics happening in Kenya, for example, with all the Gen Z protest. And once you hit it off there, then you can start discussing, oh, I know this person who does this, maybe I would like to have a business here, and I'm trying to look for land. So Kenyans are also very eager to tell you, oh, I know a person who does this and does this. So yeah, just going straight to what you want to do. Like I said, we are very hospitable people. We'll be quick to connect you with someone who does it. But of course, ideally, in any business, you want to see how we can all help each other. Even as I'm connecting you, we are all benefiting from the project. Yeah, those are my views on that.
That's great. Absolutely. Thank you. And it's great to know the foreigner can come, can connect quickly with the locals. They're very open to welcome to the foreigner and help them open doors locally. So thanks for sharing that. Very clear. The third question is focused a little bit on the cultural aspect. So we recognize that it's important to have a deeper cultural understanding of a local place when doing business or working on a project together. What are some cultural aspects that might be considered when doing business in Kenya?
Amazing. So Kenya is a culturally rich country with 42 tribes. Like personally, I'm Kikuyu, so I'm from the central part of Kenya. We have the predominant Maasais, who, when people think of Kenya, they think of the Maasais who jump. We have the coastal tribes, Swahilis, who are majorly Muslim, because Swahilis are a mixture of Bantus and Arabs, so they majorly have this Islamic cultural dynamic. But generally, Kenya, the culture is more so, especially in the urban areas. I will refrain from saying we are culturalist, like have no culture, but the culture in the urban areas is very due to the, is it maybe intermixing, or you know like for example, for me, I'm Kikuyu. I've grown up and I've been born in the urban areas, so I'm not so much in tune with my Kikuyu culture based on that. So people in the urban areas, they are more of globally aligned. So they are really not so much, conservative and doing things, in the cocoon of their culture. It's just more of basic human courtesies and interaction etiquette. That's what guides interactions culturally in Kenya. As you go further to the more rural areas, where, for example, for the coastal communities, they still have their, in their area, they're still very like the Swahili culture is still very clear. And so one cultural aspect would be to consider that men and women do not freely intermix in certain areas, for example, in prayers. Like as an architect, I'm thinking how the buildings are even designed. There are spaces for just women to have their privacy and men to have their discussions in the front porches. So that's what I would advise someone. It's majorly just general human etiquette in majorly in how we interact, and the cultural dynamics are the basics of just human interactions. But as you go further away from the urban areas, that's, yes, like I was saying, in the urban areas, the culture is not as people are not as conservative culturally, due to the intermingling we've had from primary school, university. You're brought into the urban center and people are from very diverse areas. So for you to interact with people, you don't maintain your stance from where you're from in the rural area. So you become very universal, so to speak. But as you go towards the rural areas, that's where people are more conservative and more in tune with their culture. And in Kenya, the cultural dynamics come about especially during social engagements like weddings. That's when, especially for generationally, people who are more so millennials, Gen Z do this as well, where you remember, I have to go back to my grandmother and seek her blessing, and that will entail doing things culturally right. So you remember the cultural rites, you do a cultural wedding. That's when I see people remembering. It's not so specific, it's very universal, but there are those tiny bits of specificities, which are not so different with each other, that come about in terms of culture in Kenya. Yes.
Great. Thank you so much. Very, very interesting. Very interesting how you distinguish the urban and rural realities, right, of the culture. So, as someone coming from abroad, they need to understand this dynamic, right? Some places are going to be more conservative or not. And also the urban area, correct me if I'm wrong, but in Nairobi itself, it's the headquarters of several international entities, organizations. So you'll have maybe more international exposure, perhaps, and it might be easier for a foreigner to assimilate. You do have a lot of these headquarters in Nairobi, right, of international organizations.
Yes, yes, yes. We have the United Nations headquarters in an area called Gigiri, in Nairobi, which is more of the suburb area of Nairobi. Yes.
Yeah, I mentioned that because as a foreigner in Nairobi itself, perhaps more people are used to this international connection because of the presence. So thank you. Great. Thank you so much. Going to the fourth question. If someone does not speak Swahili or any other language, local language you think is important to highlight, what do you suggest a foreigner to do to be able to communicate more successfully in Kenya and to be able to do business there? How do they communicate with the locals?
Yes. So again, I will reference Ethiopia a lot, since I was there just last week. And it was fascinating to see genuinely made like a large percentage of people don't understand English, cannot speak English. And we were explained to because Ethiopia was not colonized. They just have like Italian roots. In Kenya, we were colonized by the British, so English has been a foundational language since as early as nursery. So it's very common to find someone who speaks English around. Even the older generation, my own grandmother who passed away, may she rest in peace, and she will be turning 77 this year. She was fluent in English. So English is a very core language in Kenya. But then again, if you do find someone who might not know how to speak English or might not know how to speak Swahili, I'm already envisioning it being someone either in the rural areas or someone from the rural area who's come to Nairobi. And my tip would be just look for the nearest younger person or the nearest 5 people. You will find someone, at least one person who can speak English and can help you translate this. Yes.
No, great. Thanks so much. Also, one question. Is it common to hire interpreter? Are there people who might be able to be interpreters between English and Swahili or other languages? Are there professionals there that can help?
Yes. So majorly the translators I've seen are, again, I've been in the UN spaces. So it's in those kind of forums where you find translators, but majorly it's English to French because many people understand English in the area. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Great. Moving to the fifth question, focus more on communication. To get better results in visibility or sales, what are your recommendations on the most effective ways to do marketing for products or services in Kenya? How can a foreigner, when he comes in or to do a product, what's the best way to do marketing and sales in the market there, please?
Okay. So as you are speaking, I just thought of quickly, like it's so obvious. Like I said, Kenya, we are like the capital of the world, so to speak, because we are very adaptive to, things and to trends. So like, TikTok nowadays is a rave. There's TikTok shop where people easily sell things. And I'm thinking the easiest way to sell would be, for what I've seen in TikTok, for example, when someone starts with a narrative based on what's happening. So in Kenya, there's this trend of for 1 week, let's say, someone has caught the eyes of everyone in Kenya based on one unique silly thing they do. Like there's a lady who was famous for just whistling randomly everywhere, and she was all the hype. So now, for example, brands will look for her to just whistle in their shops, and that's it. So now Kenyans will really cheer you on, but in most cases that's normally very short-lived. So most of these celebrities, overnight celebrities, try to make the most out of that short-lived fame, and the brands as well. They really capitalize on that. So what I'll advise someone is you may look for a local to help you advise you on what's currently capturing the minds of Kenyans and the chats and the talks on Twitter, for example, what's trending. And it's not just what's trending generally, but what is it that even in the public transport when you're sitting, that's what people are speaking, you know. So when you're selling that online, it's like you're having a conversation with your online audience about that fast. You've captured them. They want to have that conversation with you. Then you seamlessly integrate the sale of that product. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Of course, that may be short-lived because it's very hype and you might get a lot, but in a short time. If you want constant sales, what I can think of is plug into a demographic. So if it's young women and currently they're having issues with maybe there was a time where women had issues with their reproductive system, and it was just a conversation of women coming up and saying, yes, we all have this issue. And when a solution was found, it was more easy to integrate over a long period of time because you've tapped into a genuine market, something they've been going through for a while, and you have your market for a very long time after that. Yes.
Great inputs. Thanks so much for this recommendation. Just a follow-up question on that. So going back to the social media platforms, other than TikTok, do you suggest any other, what do other people use in Kenya that a foreign company could also use as marketing, for example?
Yeah. So Facebook, as much as a Gen Z like me will be like, oh, Facebook still exists. When I was discussing with my auntie, it's something that's still very much alive. And it's still something that, especially, you know, millennials and people in the age range of 30, 60, some 25 and above use. So I think Facebook really succeeds because it's formed on a basis of trust. So it's a community of people who all are looking for the same thing. And then again, that's always sustainable because it's people who over a period of time realize they have this need, and whoever comes up with that solution becomes a trusted source. Yeah. It's all
Great.
about
No.
trust for them. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and just to highlight what you said, it depends on the demographics, who you're targeting, or depends on what their platform that they're going to be using. So the company has to realize who's their niche market in Kenya, for example. So great, thank you. And what you highlighted is just the foreigner should focus on the demographics, who they're targeting for the product or the service. So then they would know what platform to use, so to invest in. So thank you. Moving to the sixth question, focusing on empathy. If a business partner in Kenya wants to get to know you better and invites you to drink a coffee, a tea, or even a virtual happy hour in Zoom, what kind of topics do people in Kenya like to talk about that's not related to business? So what will we be talking about if we're drinking a coffee in Kenya?
Politics. That's a straight, obvious answer. You know, with the Gen Z issue that happened in the protests, it's not that our country is politically volatile currently, but people are very aware of these issues. And, you know, with the economic situations of like, oh, this economy, you know, this government's economy. So that will come up definitely because it's a business crisis that will come up. But of course, people want to discuss the current politics of, especially in Kenya, since it's always been the same people in politics since time immemorial, like from the 1990s. So it's now more of like a reality show in Kenya. So people are always like, just before I joined this call, there's one of a prominent politician who has literally he started politics when he was 40 and now he's about 70. He used to be a member of the opposition. Very interesting guy. So people follow the story like it's reality. So today on Twitter, he posted that he wants to launch a cryptocurrency. And people have started, like on the WhatsApp groups. I told you I'm in blockchain, so I follow these discussions. And someone is just like, oh, this is a way to wash money, or this is funny, those discussions. So if you can understand the political dynamics and you start a discussion on that, and then you relate it to business, like you're good. Yeah, that's my view on that.
That's very interesting because the other people I interviewed, some of them said, don't talk about politics. Depending on the country, we're talking about, no, no, don't talk about politics, only if you get to know the person well. But just out of curiosity, other than politics, I mean, you guys have a lot of cultural aspects or anything else people would like to talk about. If the foreigner is not interested in politics, he doesn't really relate, what else do you think would be interesting for someone to talk about with the locals?
Okay. And I will also give a disclaimer. In terms of politics, you might also want to be careful because there's also this issue of you never know who you're speaking to, and one wrong comment will lead you to get kidnapped. Or so this is more so people you really trust. But then again, you can never trust anyone very 100%. Yeah. Yeah. So I like that you've asked that. If not politics, what would I discuss about? Maybe most things I've seen people discuss is which is the best part of Kenya to live in, which is the most affordable part to live in, which area is closest to the best schools, the best hospitals. Is there anything that area is lacking? So if when I'm in the business circles, that's what I normally hear most. People discussing zones in Nairobi, which is the best place to live in currently. For example, which is something that's common right now is like there's a certain area in Nairobi where it used to be a very posh area, and foreigners, when they came to Kenya, if they cannot afford to live near the area where I told you the UN is, they go to that area. But recently, due to overpopulation, it started looking like too many high rises. No, it's not properly planned. So there are areas where they are too close to each other, such that houses lack lighting, and there are constructions coming up every day. So you'll hear someone, saying, "Oh, that's the next slum." So those are the conversations people start having, like which is the best place to live in, and yeah.
Great, great. Thank you so much. Coming to the last question. What one word or phrase should everyone learn to say in Swahili and why?
Rafiki. Rafiki means friend. And I believe when anyone says Rafiki, it already creates that, like, oh, we are one. Like, I know you, I see you. And in any interaction, that will make people warm up towards you. So Rafiki is one thing you should. I believe when you're coming to Kenya, should be just coming out of your mouth automatically. Rafiki, Mambo, but you said one word, Rafiki. Hi, Rafiki, like that.
Oh, that's a wonderful word. Perfect.
Yeah.
I will definitely, I'm gonna write it down in the article. Fantastic. Thanks so
Yeah.
much. We have come to an end, but thank you so much, Mariam, for being part of this project. I really appreciate you sharing your insights, your experience, your recommendations, and I hope this interview can also benefit you and bring you opportunities. People can connect with you. They'll read the article. They can connect with you directly. And any final words and suggestions?
Oh, okay. So I'm thinking, should it be final words to you, Raphael, or to the audience? But generally, final words based on what we've discussed is Kenya is really a global village. It feels like a global village. Our president opened it up to be visa free recently. People are welcome. So you can never feel out of place in Kenya. And I'm not exaggerating, really. You can come. they are they're hotspots for everyone. There is the coastal area, which is more vacation and relaxed, and there's Nairobi, which is easy. There is, the central part of Kenya, which is cold, and for the hikers to go hike the mountains there. It's a land of opportunity as well. Yeah, because of the diverse and open people you'll find who are ready to learn and participate. Yeah, regardless. So welcome to Kenya, and I hope that when you come to Kenya, you can look for me. I'm a very friendly. I love meeting strangers. I always say I prefer strangers to people I know in my life because they are more interesting. I don't know them, so yeah, really, and I'm also looking forward to visiting more and more countries so I can get different perspectives. Yeah, of my own
Yeah,
country.
I'll count on that.
Thank you.
I never been to Kenya. It's definitely a place I want to go. So definitely I hope to go soon. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for your time, for your enthusiasm, for your energy, and we'll definitely be in touch soon. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.